That morning, the world was not ready. The airport, which is usually just a place of traffic, suddenly turned into an emotional stage that tore the souls of millions of fans. Amid the hustle and bustle of the cameras, the crowd of fans screaming hysterically, and the security staff trying to manage the situation, there was one moment that couldn't be described with the word ordinary. Jungkook crying while hugging Taehyung. Not the typical tears of a tired or touched idol. The crying was raw, wild, and tumultuous. Jungkook's eyes turned red, his chest rose and fell to hold back the sobs, and as his body united in an embrace with Taehyung, the world seemed to stop. Many try to simplify this moment as a form of homesickness or ordinary friendship. But is it really that simple? No. There was something much bigger, deeper, and more threatening behind that embrace. Too many ignored signs. Too many lies were tightly closed by the management, as if the fans were not smart enough to read body language. But this time the truth was too obvious to hide. Jungkook's embrace for Taehyung wasn't just an expression of affection. It was a form of protection. It was resistance. It was an SOS signal from the heart that had silenced the wound for too long. How long has Taehyung been carrying the burden alone? His always smiling face in front of the camera is just the perfect mask of an artist who is repeatedly forced to hold the world alone. But that day, for the first time in a very long time, he didn't have to stand alone. Jungkook saw everything. He witnesses how Taehyung is marginalized from important decisions. He knows how Taehyung's voice is sometimes not considered in large meetings that are supposed to be inclusive. And he knew one more thing, that Taehyung was close to giving up. That's why the hug happened. It's not about the camera. Not for the fans. It's not just about dramatization. The hug was a phrase from a sister who wanted to save her brother from mental and emotional devastation. Jungkook no longer cares about the consequences. He only knew one thing. My Hyungkook is not okay, and I will not be silent. And that's where it all changed. Jungkook's tears implied a power that could no longer be held back. A silent statement louder than any microphone. Behind the cry there was a big message for the world, and even more so for the side that had been silent all this time. Don't try to break him. If you hurt her, you have to get past me first. Those moments were captured by dozens of cameras. But strangely, the pieces of video uploaded by the official media seem to have been edited very carefully. The focus is not on hugs. Not Jungkook's tears. It wasn't on Taehyung's expression that it looked like he was holding his breath so as not to collapse on the spot. The videos that appear instead show footage of Amon greeting each other, polite smiles, and seemingly ordinary body movements. Where's the hug? Where was the moment when Jungkook looked down at Taehyung's shoulder and shivered with tears? It's all gone. But the army is not just a spectator. They're witnesses. They're recording. They respread the moment with a narrative that can no longer be silenced. And this is where it all starts to fall apart. Hyb shut up. There is no clarification. There is no official statement. Only silence, and as often happens in their history, silence is not a form of neutrality, but rather a form of escape from the truth. The army began to ask, why is Jungkook's crying considered unimportant? Why was the hug removed from the official media narrative? Why? Because the answer could shake the reputation built over the years. Because the answer is, they are hiding something. Jungkook didn't cry in vain. He is not a typical idol who easily dissolves in emotions in public. But that day he could not resist. Because he knows what's going on behind the scenes. There is mounting pressure. Taehyung is given an inhuman schedule. His solo promotion was hampered. The project he proposed was rejected for no logical reason. Not once, but many times. He is orchestrated, silenced, and treated as if only a complement to a grand narrative controlled by a handful of people. And Jungkook saw it all. That he sees how Taehyung tries to keep smiling in front of the camera, even though before performing, he vomits due to stress. He knew how Taehyung stared at his phone screen for hours waiting for news from the management team that never responded. He knows because they often talk while the world sleeps. And that's why when Taehyung showed up at the airport with a tired face and wistful eyes, Jungkook couldn't contain his emotions. The hug is not just a hug. It was a form of responsibility, a form of love, a form of, I won't let you be destroyed. Jungkook's cry is an unspoken protest, because words have too often been ignored. Usually, Korean media has one bad habit: sweeping the truth under the carpet, shifting the public's focus with safe news, and packing real drama into mere moments of idols supporting each other. But this time they failed. Jungkook's hugs and cries were too big to contain. All the news outlets tried to play up the standard narrative. Jungkook looked emotional when he met Taehyung. Their close friendship was warm at the airport. But no one dares to call. There are wounds that are being covered up. No one dared to ask what really happened behind the scenes until a mentally strong Jungkook exploded in a public place. They expect the public to swallow that false narrative. But the public is already tired. The army is grown. And this time the truth is too naked to lie in a group dynamic as big as BTS. There's always a hidden narrative. Someone has to give in to keep the system going. And Taehyung? He's been that guy too many times. He's the one who has to hold back creative ideas because they don't fit with the direction of the brand. It was he who had to be silent when his project was delayed. Just so as not to disturb the rhythm of the group, she had to hide the stress, just to keep her face looking calm and decent on the screen. But is it fair? Jungkook knows the answer. He knew how ambitious Taehyung was. He knew how many songs Taehyung had written but never released. He knew how often Taehyung was called into the boardroom just to hear the word later. And now when that cry breaks out at the airport, we all know. Enough is enough. Jungkook is defending Taehyung. In front of everyone. At all risks. Days after that viral moment, HYB remained silent. There is no official release. No explanation. No attempt to clarify. And this is where the biggest question arises. Why did such a large company choose silence? Is it because they know that any statement will make the situation worse? Or because they do not want society to know that hugs and cries are the result of systemic internal pressure? In the professional world, nothing happens for no reason. Especially in people like Jungkook who are known to be emotionally closed. His cry is alarm. And HYB refused to answer the alarm. They forgot one thing. The public cannot be fooled forever. If they choose silence, then silence means an indirect confession. Yes, we did something that made our members cry at the airport. In a world that constantly demands BTS to perform perfectly, there is only one place where they can breathe. In each other's arms. And that's what the world saw back then. Not two superstars but two human beings taking care of each other in the middle of a storm. Taehyung and Jungkook aren't just friends. They are two spirits who understand each other's wounds. They share secrets, pressures, frustrations, and hopes, which can never be represented in a 15-second snippet on social media. A hug is not a stage. Crying is not a gimmick. It was an honest reaction from someone who couldn't stand to see their loved one hurt anymore. And that moment has changed everything. Some fans began to raise one big question. Is there really a pattern of silence towards Taehyung? And the answers they found shocking. When Taehyung's painting project was ready to launch, media promotion was minimal. When his solo songs went viral organically, the label's response was almost hollow. When she gets a big fashion brand contract, her highlights are more directed at the brand, not at Taehyung himself. It all feels like a coincidence. Until everything starts to form a pattern, and when Jungkook cries at the airport, not backstage, not in the rehearsal room, then it's like confirming everything. Taehyung is being silenced and Jungkook is not going to be silent. It's not just the army that's been hit. Ordinary netizens, industry observers, even non-fans began to speak. Because that hug and that cry is too universal to ignore. Crying is a human language. And when it comes from someone like Jungkook, it becomes a global language. The pressure is not just from the fans. The world is forcing HYB to talk. To be responsible. To stop torturing someone just because they don't fit their idol mold. And Taehyung? For the first time he knew that he was not alone.